Nutrient number 3, protein, also known as amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. There's one word that describes how amino acids are manufactured on this planet, where they come from. It's a real long word, but most of us learn it in school. It's called photosynthesis. Sunlight comes down and it hits the grass. Cows eat the grass and they get the protein in their meat. It hits the leaves on the trees, makes amino acids. It hits the algae in the ocean. That is the bottom of the food chain with protein. Now, it's known that chemicals have infiltrated the whole planet. PCBs, dioxins, heavy metals, all these chemicals. You can go to the polarized caps, dig down in 1972, and find how many chemicals are floating around the atmosphere in that year. They don't readily accumulate in plant foods like they do in the flesh of animals. The fatty tissues of animals hold on to these chemicals. So when you're eating your protein from the bottom of the food chain from plants, you get a much cleaner source of protein, less polluted with these chemicals. Now, I'd like to tell you what the World Health Organization has to say about protein. I'm not going to look to see what our government here in the United States says about protein, because I know they allow lobbyists to come in and persuade them what to say as far as nutritional advice. In fact, there's a little food pyramid on a poster that you usually find in every elementary school in the country, and at the bottom it says donated by the American Dairy Council. This isn't a not-for-profit organization out there to benefit humankind. This is a paid advertising agency. Left that check, 2 offices in every state. They're trying to sell a product. So what did the World Health Organization, with experts from all these different countries, have to say about getting your protein? They said, as long as we get 5% of our total daily calories coming from protein, that will be sufficient and we won't be deficient. Now, believe it or not, 9% of calories in an orange are derived from protein. Zucchini, 17%, strawberries, 8%, broccoli, 42%, cauliflower, 31%, and corn, 13%. The fact is that the commonly consumed plant foods have between 6 and 45% of their calories from protein. That's sufficient protein. Now, we also learned in school that there are 8 essential amino acids. In other words, these amino acids can't be manufactured in the body. We must get them from our diet. And that is where the dairy meat industry was saying, well, we have to eat our products to be healthy because, plant foods may not have them all. That was their own thing. Well, 30 years of research went into something called the Wnt doctrine, which proves that we do store these essential amino acids in our liver, we store them in other tissues, and if we don't have them for a day, they'll be taken from where they're stored if they're needed and brought to that portion of the body where they're needed. There's a medical doctor here in the United States named John McDougall, who is a specialist in nutrition. Years ago, he put out a dare, and it still holds to this day. He dared any researcher or scientist to try to design a diet composed of a variety of starchy and non-starchy vegetables, and at the same time be deficient in protein, or these essential amino acids. And no researcher or scientist has been able to devise such a diet, and we believe we would not have survived as a species on this planet if that were not true. Here's another really good resource. In Germany, the prestigious Max Planck Institute for Nutritional Research, they found that about 50% of the amino acids or the protein are destroyed when you cook a food. So the proteins become denatured. So I did some research to see, is denatured protein something that is safe or healthy to be eating several times a day? Can that have an effect on the body? Well, going back to the Wnt doctrine again, they found that this denatured protein over time can interfere or block cell respiration. Our bodies are made up of billions of cells, and these cells need those amino acids, fatty acids, and glucose and things going in and out of the cell. That's cell respiration. If that can't happen, it's kind of like the cell is constipated. Imagine for a second we're all cells, and we can't find a place to go to the bathroom. We're all backed up, and we're really hungry. We can only get a little food at a time. We probably feel pretty bad. Maybe even get a diagnosis of chronic fatigue. So ideally, we get our protein from raw sources. We want it to be ideally healthy. So protein, in my opinion, is not an issue in many scientists' opinion, provided you eat a variety of unprocessed plant foods. Okay, let's move on to